Okay, so test cases. Anyone has idea about test cases? What is test cases? Okay. So test cases are nothing but steps you take to perform your testing. It's nothing but the action item, the mouse click action, or for example, let's say zuho.com, right? If I ask you, can you verify the URL works, the zuho.com page exists, or the zuho.com homepage is loading, how would you do that? What would you do? Like, what is your first step? What are you gonna do if I ask you to test it? How would you perform this testing? The first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna launch, since it is a web-based application, you're gonna launch the URL, right? Then you're gonna open a tab, and you're gonna write or paste the URL, then you're gonna hit enter. Once you do that, what happens? Your testing is completed. You have successfully completed your testing of verifying that this URL exists and it works. This is it. So what did you do? You pretty much took a couple of steps, 4 or 5 steps to perform this testing. So test cases are nothing but documenting these steps. You just purely document your action, your mouse click action, right? Or the keyboard action. This is test cases. Test cases are nothing but the step-by-step process of testing a requirement. And so if you understand this, you'll know, right? You know what is test cases. Now, you have to document it. And when you document it, you have to be organized. So the way you document it, there is a specific way you would be documenting. The industry, like I always say, is not standardized, but you need to make sense out of it. So when you write test cases, how would you document those steps, right? You can, the best way to document it is on the Excel sheet. And there are different tools like ALM, which is application life management, ALM, right? There's another tool called Jira. You can write your test cases over there in those tools, but the best way of practicing it is in Excel sheet itself. So let's talk about a requirement. Let's go into the requirement, and then we're going to start writing test cases. If you have any questions, always raise hand. This is a very important topic today. You would be doing this in your work every day. So this is a Jira dashboard that Rajubhai has created. The project name is Zuho Project 1. You all going to be working under this project very soon. So he created this project. He has added requirements. So he has added 4 main requirements. If you look at these epics, if you go under create a ticket, you can see different type of tickets you could create. So when you go there, so it's tickets are nothing but issue types. So here you're seeing different type of issues, right? So one is story, one is task, one is bug, one is epic. So epic we talked about is the bigger requirement. It's like if you have zuho.com, the entire thing could be one epic. This is a big requirement. Or you can have different component or different pages as one epic, right? So epic is a big requirement. Stories are individual requirements, smaller requirement, right? We talked about it last week. Like if you go to zuho.com, under the landing page, do I have an account? I do. So when you log in, I don't want to do this. So this is your landing page, right? So landing page could be one epic. Under this landing page, everything you see, it could be a individual requirement. And an individual requirement is nothing but a story point. So if you look at it here, we have the epics, then we have the story point, and the bugs are the ones that you would be creating during your testing. Like if you find any faults in the requirement in the application, basically not in the requirement, in the application while testing, you would be creating bugs. You're going to write down what happened here, where it happened, and how they can go and see those. You're going to be writing it here. So that's bug. So epic, story, and bug, I hope it's clear. Task is nothing but something that someone has to do. So this is task is like, let's say if I say to Rajubai, can you look into something, or can you send a note to the broader team? Or task is a small task. It could be anything. It's tied to this project, but it is not, it could be functional, it could be non-functional, it could be anything, you know. I could simply write a task and say, tomorrow we're going to be performing this and that, and it could be reminder task, nothing more than that. So ignore the task part, just understand epic, story, and bug. These are very important. So if you could understand that, you're good to go when it comes to Jira. Any questions on epic, story, and bug? Okay, seems like everybody understands. So
Can you talk about the bugs one more time?
bug,
Yeah.
bug are the ones that you're going to be logging when you're testing the application. So let's not think too much about bug, just understand what it is. So for example, because we're going to be spending a couple of days in bug, right? For example, the expectation here, when you click on the books icon, it should navigate you to the next page. Now, if it doesn't, there's a bug. So you're going to be going there reporting, hey, you know, the book icon does not work. It's supposed to take me to the next page, but when I click on it, it doesn't work. So that's a bug. That's a fault in the application.
So
There's
bugs
an error,
basically meaning error, like any
error, issue, fault, all of this.
all the negative stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, that's our job. The things you're seeing here under this drop down, you will not be creating epic, you will not be creating story point, you will not be creating tasks. Maybe you might be creating tasks, but you would be creating bugs. No one else would be creating bugs. As your job as a tester, you would be creating bugs. You know, you're like a correction officer. You're going to be correcting, you know. So the developers would be developing, you would be making corrections. That's your job, and that's how you do it. You know, you're just going to create bugs. So understand what is bug, but let's not worry about how we create it and whatnot. We're going to get there. Now, you can see Rajubai created epic under one epic, which is nothing but one functionality, sign up functionality. Under sign up functionality, he has created 6 story point. So 6 different, sorry, zoom in.
Zoom in, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's probably too much, right? How is it?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Cool. So under the epic, he created 6 different requirements, 6 different story point. Now let's work on one of these. So now here, if we look at this story point, this requirement, let's read through this requirement. What is he saying? What does he want? So Rajubai is a business analyst right now. Now he's creating browser navigation requirement. So this is a requirement. He's saying under this is the header, right? He's talking about browser navigation. Under this, under description, he's saying as a new user, I want to navigate to zuhur.com using all browsers. And he's talking about all the browsers here, supported browsers, Firefox, Google, Edge, Safari, all of them, right? And here he has given the link of this application, and screenshot is talking about, yeah, navigation. Basically, this is the once you navigate through this application, this is what you're going to be seeing. So if you read through this, what do you understand? This is a requirement. This is a live requirement. What do you understand? What do we have to do? Based on the conversation, guys, what did you understand? What do we have to do?
So I will say that we do have one ticket, basically one test case, and with the descriptions and with the requirements, that's what we have.
So this is the requirement now, right?
Right.
And now we have to write test cases, right?
Right.
This is the requirement. So this is, if you look at this, right? This is STLC process. This is what we are following. You have read through the requirement and you understood the requirement, right? You have created test plan. You guys created and submitted test plan, right? These 2 are done. What is your third thing? Creating test cases, right?
Right.
So is the requirement clear to everyone before we jump into writing test cases? All it's saying, browser navigation, I want to navigate to this URL using this browsers. So how are we going to do this? So let's just start writing. So understand in your head what is the requirement, and then we're going to start writing test cases. So test cases, usually, you know, if you want to be very professional, well, you have to do this, right? You have to have good formatting of a test cases. So whenever anyone sees it, you know, it is acceptable. Obviously, the test cases you have to present it to the different group. So you want to be as clean as possible. So before writing test cases, what is your first, where does it starts from? It starts from the requirement. So let's talk about the requirement, right? We're going to write here a requirement. Let's say the first column would be requirement description. Requirement description, that's your first column. What would be your second column? Let's say the test cases has to have numbers, so it is easy to identify. So test case number, that would be your second column. Third would be test cases description. We have to write description of the test case that we are going to be writing. So let's say test case description.
Kadir, can you zoom
Zoom
in
in,
on
okay.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It's pretty big on my side. That's why
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think about it. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
requirement
that's fine.
description, test case number, test case description. The fourth one would be test steps. Let's write steps. I know, guys, right now it's confusing, but you know, I'll explain everything. Then there would be expected results. Then we would have actual results. Then it would be status and maybe date. That should be sufficient for a standard test case. We could always write precondition or other things, but right now let's not worry about this. Let's just understand these things. So this is your template of the test case. Okay, let's just change the color here. Maybe, okay, that's fine. Or, okay, this is better. Maybe this guy is better. Okay, fine. So requirement description, test case number, test case description, steps, expected result, actual result, status, and date. These are your mandatory fields. You must have those. Let's talk about requirement description. So let's go to requirement. What is the requirement description? As a new user, I want to navigate to zuhur.com using all browser. That's it. That's your, let's just copy it. That's your requirement description. Let's just copy it. Fine, that's it. That's your requirement description. Now test case a number. Let's just say TC001 as your test case number. That's where we're going to start from. Now here, test case description would be test case description would be your test scenarios. Like, what are the scenarios? Can you come up with this? So your first scenario would be you start with the verify. When you're writing test case description, you want to talk about what you're verifying. So you'd be writing verify user is able to navigate to zuhur.com using Chrome. If you look at it here, feel free to ask questions anytime, guys. So here, what is it talking about? It's saying as a user, I want to be able to navigate to Zoho.com using all browsers. Now, I have to break it down. I cannot just write, okay, using all browsers. I'm going to have to perform each step separately. Just like if I ask you, go verify that Zoho application exists and you're able to navigate to the Zoho application using Chrome or all browsers. You cannot possibly perform this and separate browser at once, right? You have to go one by one, right? So similarly, when you're writing test cases, you have to break it down. Sometimes it sounds very silly, and when you're writing it, same thing you would be writing over and over again, changing one or two words, but you have to do it. This is the where to go. So what are we verifying here? We're verifying that we're able to navigate to this application using Chrome. So what would be my steps? The steps that I showed you guys before, what would be your step one? So if we talk about step one, this is your step one, right? What would you do?
You will copy your URL thing and
No, before that, what would you do?
You open Chrome. you
Right.
open
So
that.
that's your, yeah, that's your step one. Now, what would be your step two?
Put in Zoho.com.
Exactly. So it would be like enter Zoho.com, right?
Yeah.
.com. And then what would you do?
Hit enter.
Thank you. So you have to be very detailed, guys. You know, sometimes it sounds silly, but you have to do it. What would be your third step?
Verify the URL.
User is able to. So this third step would be nothing but this, because this is where you're going, right? User is able to navigate to. This would be your, just copy this, right? That's your last step. This is it. So that's what you're doing. This is your requirement description. Requirement description. This is your test cases. Right, and these are your steps. What would be your expected result?
That the user can navigate to Zoho using Google Chrome.
Right, so your wording should be user shall be able to
Access or navigate, sorry,
navigate
to
navigate to
Zoho.com using Google Chrome.
.com. That should be sufficient, right?
Okay.
So that should be sufficient. And for now, ignore these three steps. These three steps would be actual results, which you would be doing when you're executing system tests. We are only designing test cases. This is where we are. We would be performing testing when we perform our execution. But for now, you don't fill out this section. You're only worried about these guys, right? So now this is a complete scenario. One scenario is complete. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Anyone has questions? Understanding this, guys, is very crucial. Does this make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if you all understand this, let's go back to the requirement. Now this is my requirement. This is my test cases. Now read through this requirement and tell me if we are done with this requirement. Do you think we have completed everything in this requirement, or we need to do more work?
More work.
Fatima said more work, right?
Yeah.
What about rest of you guys? What do you think?
We need to test out all the browsers.
Cannot hear you, brother.
We need to test out all the browsers.
Okay, rest of you guys, what do you think? Do we need to do more work, or we're done?
We need to go to step by step every browser.
Every browser, right? So when you're covering a requirement with your test cases, you have to understand, you have to think critically, you have to think negatively, you have to think positively, you have to think outside the box, you have to come out of your comfort zone, and you have to think, how can I test this more? This is nothing but designing your testing, right? Now, if you think, you just wrote 3 steps and you're done, you're not a good tester. You have to think critically. You have to think about every possible scenario. And this is the easy one. We're going to learn how to do that eventually. But here, simply, we only cover this guy. We only cover Google Chrome. We did not cover 9 other browsers. So we have to do more. So we have to simply continue doing more work. So this would be, let me just copy for the simplicity purpose. Let me just copy and paste. So here, this will be test case 002. Navigate to verify users able to navigate to the application using, let's say, IE, right? So Internet Explorer. So here, open IE, right? This is simple because we are just changing 1 or 2 IE. So this is done, right? But this scenario is still same. So merge, okay. Same scenario we are testing, right? So we cover 2. Let's copy and paste. Number 3. What is number 3? Firefox, right? Firefox. Are we done or we have to continue?
Continue.
Right. So we need 10 test cases out of this, right? So I'm going to stop at, let's just stop here, right? Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but same scenario, right? We're covering same scenario using all browsers. So just we're doing with the different browsers, right? This is our requirement that we are covering. So once you do that, once you complete 100%, once you design it, then you're going to save this document and you're going to go in here and you're going to attach it. You're going to attach it here. Just find wherever you save it and then attach it here, and that's your test case. You will be writing it properly. You'd be giving it proper name, test cases for this requirement. You would be giving the requirement name ZP1-2. This is the requirement, and you're going to put nice naming convention there, and then you would be attaching it. Now, do we understand? Are we clear how we covered designing test cases for this requirement, browser navigation? Before we move on to the next one. Is everyone clear?
Yeah, you are very detailed. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one is done. Okay, what is next one? Sign up page functionality. Okay, let's look at this one, guys. So here he's talking about sign up page functionality. He's talking under the description, as a new user, I want to navigate to sign up page so that I can view following displayed. Acceptance criteria. Supporting requirements. The following field should be present. Start with the free account. This should be present: email, password, state selection, agree, checkbox, sign up for free. So this is what he's talking about under the sign up page, the functionality of sign up page. This should be there, and he has given a screenshot. What do you think, guys? Can we do this? Read through. Sorry. Okay, so read through this requirement. See what you understand. And what questions do you have? Is it simple enough? Can we design test cases?
Able to.
do have a question, very simple. So to sign up to this functionality, do we still have to start from the beginning? Like, do we have to still say that, oh, we have to go to the browser, we have to type the zoo.com, and we have to click and open
Yes,
the,
yes.
for the every single steps that we do?
You cannot jump. You have to, whatever steps you'd be performing to navigate to that functionality, you have to list it out here. So if I log out, start from zuhur.com, that's you launch the application, you enter the URL, then you hit the enter button, then you click on, then you pretty much navigated to this page, and then you're clicking on the sign up page. You have to list out everything. No shortcut, no jumping. You have to start from beginning. So is the requirement clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Guys, also take this chance to remember that the BA gave you the requirement, but it's up to you to make sure that the requirement is not ambiguous, makes sense, complete, and testable. This is your time to ask the BA for more clarification. If you don't understand the requirement, you write your questions for the BA and you ask those questions to the BA. So Kadir, if you can scroll down a little, does it give you, okay, so it also gives you a link to the URL. You see, once you click that, you will be taken to that sign up function. So you already have your link to the URL. So that should help you also. If you click that link, you will see that that is exactly what you need to test. So how would you test it? Let's come up with questions. Let's try to think about writing our test steps, I would say. What do you think, Kadir?
Yeah, I think so. I think this directly tied to Brother Fahad's question. So since he has given a direct URL, now he has provided, as a business analyst, he has provided direct URL. Now we don't need to worry about going to the landing page. He has given us direct URL, right? So we'll not be doing www.zoa.com. We'll be doing this URL, right? This is the sign up by direct URL. So we'll be performing this action basically. Okay, so let's design it since we don't have questions, and then we'll talk about it. So first thing first, let's just hide this guy so it's easier to understand, easier to see basically. So sign up functionality, this is my as a new user and be able to sign up page. So this is your requirement basically. So let's go. Requirement description. As a new user, I want to be able to navigate to sign up page so that I can. Okay, so I guess we need this guy as well. Okay. Pretty big.
How come you didn't put for the first requirement, why didn't you put all the stuff there? Like, you know, all the browser.
It says all browsers. So that's
Oh, okay.
why.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
okay. But this one is because it's specific. That's why you need to
Yeah.
put this there.
Yeah, I mean, you want to put more information as possible. And when you're putting requirement description, this is mainly for you, for your purpose, for everyone else as well, but for you, because from here, you know what requirement you're working on, what is the description, and also for everyone else as well. It's also good to have another column here to put, let's do an insert requirement number, you know. So So that way, when people has to like see it, they can tell like which requirement they're looking into, right? So your requirement number would be something like this, right? ZP1-3. This would be your something like that, I think. So that's your requirement, basically, requirement number. Good to have it there. Okay, so this is the description. So let's start writing test cases, and you guys are gonna help me with this. So test case. So let's say TC001, we are starting with a new set of test cases for this requirement. What would be your description now? What are we verifying? What would be your first step?
Check responses when the email and password is entered, if it's valid. In other words, check response when valid email and password is entered.
Actually, we are not going there yet. We're going to start from very beginning. Like the first step would be
I'm sorry.
navigation, right? No, you're good. You're good. Thanks for speaking out. But first, you need to get there, right? First step is to get there, right? So you would be your first verification step. How can I get there? So let's talk about this, right? Verify. You would be saying verify able to navigate to this page, right? And to do that, you would be doing the same thing, right? The same steps that we were performing before. Open URL, do this, do that. I'm just going to copy this. Okay. Verify user is able to navigate to this page. So now we have a different URL. It's not the same. So we're just going to copy and paste this right here. Verify user able to navigate to zoho.com. Here we are not mentioning any browser. They did not mention any browser, but when you're performing your testing, at the end of it, you're going to be performing browser compatibility testing, which we'll learn later. But first one, they specifically talked about all browsers, right? This one they did not mention, but this is where you have your opportunity to ask. I mean, you shouldn't ask, you should assume, because here, since they mentioned my application is supported by all browsers, right? So that's mean the entire functionality of the application is supported by all browsers. Now here, we are not mentioning browsers specifically, because when you log into the application using all browsers, you know your application is supported by all browsers. But eventually at the end of the testing, you'd be going into each browsers and doing a smoke test to make sure that application is stable in all browsers. But for the time being, you're more focused on the functional testing. You want to make sure that functionality of the application is working fine. That's one way. But the best way, what I recommend and what I do in my work, let's say you have 4 testers, right? 4 guys are testing the application. What I say, guys, don't use the same browser during the testing. You know, each one of us should be assigned to a different browser. So that way, not only we are doing functional testing, we're also doing browser testing. For example, I'm testing using Chrome. I love Chrome, so I usually pick Chrome. That would be saying, Rajbhai, can you do Internet Explorer? Fatima can do like Firefox. Someone else can do Edge. Someone else can do Safari. So that way, once you're done with your testing, you automatically perform your browser testing. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, so this is your first scenario. So out of this requirement, we're going to have to come up with multiple scenarios, right? So what are we doing? Verify user is able to navigate to this application, right? So so your expected result would be this, right? Except you have to change the URL. User shall be able to navigate to zoho.com/signup, right? So first scenario is complete. Now look at the next scenario. Let's hide it so we can see this better. So what could be another scenario? So this is a big requirement. I came up with one scenario. What is the second scenario?
Start with a free account.
Yeah, so verify this text exists in that application. If you look at that application, this is the application. This is a static text, right? So your next scenario would be, this is your test case 2. Let's just hopefully verify this is your second step. Start with the free account today. Text exists in the application. So how do you verify that? How do you get there?
Using the URL they given us.
What would be your steps? How would you write this step?
Same.
Guide me.
Does it actually work? Like, does it actually let us open the free account?
No, we are just verifying this text exists. We are not looking at the functionality right now. We are just what is the requirement all about? What is the requirement here? There is no, he did not talk about the functionality. All he's saying, sign up page functionality. What are the functionality there, right? So he's talking about this text exists there. This email functionality is there. Password functionality is there. He's not talking about what is this email functionality does. We are not there yet. We're only verifying this functionality exists in that application. We are not going into what type of email value should be there, what type of password value should be there, what are the characteristics allowed and what are the characteristics not allowed, things in this nature. We're not talking about that. We're only verifying the display item within that application. So if we go back there, we're saying verify this text exists in that application. So now here we would be performing this. Enter this, navigate to, and what would be your fourth step, guys? Somebody tell me.
Verify that it says that. Verify, start with your free account. Is it?
Perfect.
Verify.
Perfect. Just copy and paste the fourth one.
Yeah.
Basically, this is your end goal, right? This is what you're trying to verify, right?
Yeah.
What would be your expected result?
User shall be able to verify, start with your free account exists.
Shall exist in the application. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Okay. So now give me another scenario, guys. So we covered navigation to that application. We covered the first part of this. What is the next one?
Email.
Give me the scenario description.
Email.
Tell me, yeah.
Verify email text exists in application.
Is that email is a text or is a functionality?
Is text.
Really? Look at that.
Is it functionality?
Functionality.
It's a functionality, right? This is yeah, there is a text there, but we're not so worried about this. We're worried about the functionality, right? So you would be saying something like email functionality, verify email functionality exists in the application. Now, what would be your step? Come on, guys, you should be pro by now. What am I changing here?
Verify email functionality.
Instead of what? Am I putting fifth line or am I replacing something?
Replacing just verify, just replacing it with a free account.
Verify email functionality exists in application. What would be your expected result?
Verify email functionality exists.
Shall exist in the application, right? Is it making sense, guys? Someone else, can you try to give me scenario for the fifth test cases?
So you can say the verify password functionality exists in the applications.
Okay. Password functionality exists in the application. What would be the?
You basically change the email to password. Very simple.
Do you guys find it easy?
Yes.
Yes.
Very easy, right? Okay.
The thing is all about how you word it down on the like in the thing. Like how you write it down. Like you could, if you write it text, then it's not doesn't make too sense. If you just use the like functionality, then it makes sense.
You have to make sense out of it. Yes, you have to make sense out of it. That's important. Okay, so far Fatima, brother Fahad, very active. I think I couldn't catch. There was another person. All right. I want someone else to guide me. Sofina, you want to try to guide me for the step number 5?
Yep.
Please tell me like what would be my scenario?
And we verify state selection functionality exists in the application.
Okay, give me one sec. Yeah, let's go one by one. Okay, so state selection functionality verify. So this is my next scenario, right?
Yep.
Exist. What would be the steps?
It'll be the same. They're open Chrome, enter Zoho. It'll be just verify state selection functionality exists in the application.
What is your expected result?
State selection functionality shall exist in the application.
Perfect, perfect. You're doing awesome. Seems like you're doing a lot of homework, which is good.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Good. Okay, so let's try to freeze the panel. View, I think it's under view, freeze panel, top row. Okay, good. Okay, so that's good, guys. Someone else give me test description for test case number 6. Someone else. Sister Rosina never talked. Do you want to try?
Okay, brother. For the next one, it will be verify agree checkbox functionality exists in the application.
Okay, let's do this. Agree checkbox. Well, what are the steps I need to take to get there?
The first, second, third will be the same. The fourth, just change state selection to agree checkbox.
And your expected result? What are you expecting?
Yep, agree checkbox functionality shall exist in the application.
I did not even check if it's a functionality or not. Okay.
Should be a similar
Checkbox. Is it? It's the checkbox, right?
Mhm.
Well, you're not completely wrong by saying functionality. It is checkbox is a part of functionality, so that's fine. Okay, last one. Who wants to take this honor?
Can you just go to the page? I want to see the functionality. Okay, there.
It's a button, right?
It's big red, guys, big giant red. Who wants to take this?
Yeah, you're not wrong by saying functionality. You can say button or functionality, either or, that's fine. Do we understand? Halimbai just joined, I think. I'm not sure when he joined.
No,
Brother,
I think Halimbai actually gave you an answer earlier.
oh,
I think,
okay,
yeah.
cool, cool. Anyone is not understanding what we are doing. It's very easy, but it's going to get complicated if you don't understand, because we're going to change things around, right? This is happy path. It's so easy to understand, happy path. But when it comes to being creative, when it comes to doing things differently, that's where you're going to have issue. But to understand the criticality, you have to understand the easy part first. So let's just finish it up. Hassan bhai, are you on the same page? Do you understand what's going on?
Yes, sir. Yes, Salil bhai.
Okay, brother. If you understand, I'm good. Tahmina, do you understand what's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Where
Okay.
are you lost? Which part you're not understanding?
The steps I'm getting, but the first thing.
So first thing, okay, let's talk about first thing. First thing is the entire requirement. So a requirement could have only one scenario or could have 10 scenarios. So if we look at our first requirement, how many scenarios we had? Let's unhide this. So first scenario, so we had as a new user, I want to be able to navigate to this application using all browsers, right? So here we really have, functionally, we only have one scenario, but the fact they mentioned all browsers, we had 10 browsers under consideration. So we had to come up with 10 different scenarios, but pretty much same functionality wise, it's all same. You're doing essentially same thing. So let me just say for the first requirement, we only had one scenario. Verify user is able to log into the application using all browsers. Let's just, for the simplicity's sake, let's just say one scenario, right? Now moving on to this one, right? You have this big requirement where you had to be creative. You had to come up with different scenarios. Here they're talking about different things, right? If we go back to this application sign up functionality, he's saying here, in this, I want to be able to navigate to this page. That's one scenario. After navigating, he's talking about, I want to see this in the application. Then I want to see this one, then this functionality, that functionality. So he has 8 or 9 functionality that he wants to be able to see. Now, if you're only writing one scenario, would it cover your requirement? No, it will not. Now you have to be creative and write down different scenarios that you could think about. So that's why we are writing different scenarios here, and each scenario has different steps. So these are the different scenarios. First scenarios, I'm verifying that I'm able to navigate to this application. Second scenario, after navigating, I'm able to see this text. It's talking about this text, right? Yeah. And then here, the next functionality, email functionality, then password functionality, then state selection functionality, then this agree checkbox functionality, and then lastly, sign up for free. So now if you have to design test cases, how would you go about it for this particular last one right here?
So verify sign up for free functionality exists in the application.
Perfect. And then what would be what are your steps?
Steps are, the first three is I think same. The first two is I think same, and the 3 it's gonna be verify sign up for free functionality exists in the application.
Is it 3 or is it 4?
Oh, sorry, 4.
Right, so you're just verifying this. So actually it's a lot of copy pasting, and the same thing you're going to be doing at work, and to make it simple basically. Okay, so now I guess everybody understand. And again, if you don't understand, please speak up. Mamun, you with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for this one, we created 7 different scenarios, and each scenario has its steps and expected results. So do you think we have covered this requirement with our test cases?
Yes.
Pretty
Yes.
much, yeah. We could think about other things, but I think it's good. We covered it. So that's good. Now, if you understand this too, I want to talk about other things, right? Let's see, project. Okay, let's see, what is this functionality you talked about? Sign up, email, and password. Let's just open this one. Okay, as a new user, I want to sign up by using email and create password so that I could do this. Email field shall like this following requirement must be a valid Gmail account. Password field shall exist with following requirement. Password requirement must be 6 to 8 digit, must contain one letter, one number, one space, must not contain space. Okay, guys, let's talk about this thing. This is your homework. You would be creating test cases for this requirement, sign up functionality. Rajubhai, like, does everybody has access to this board? I don't think so, right?
No, only a couple, I believe, have access.
How can we make this available for everyone? I don't think we can give access to everyone. I think 10 is the max number, but I
What
think
I was thinking of Shamim copying this on his application, and whoever I can't give access, Shamim can give access to them.
so. How about you give access to your team? Shamim gives access to his team.
Yeah.
And leftovers will talk about it, or we can send a Word document.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, please pay attention. The next thing you want to, so this is your homework. Sign up functionality with email and password. Now his requirement for the email, he says it must be a Gmail, valid Gmail. That's his requirement. If you look at this one, here's a navigation, let's delete it. You go here. Let's delete this guy. Okay, his email requirement is email field shall exist. That's one requirement. So you're gonna come in here and you verify. You should have a scenario that email functionality or email field shall exist. Now that's your one scenario. Next scenario, this is a big one. You could write n number of test cases, could be 20, 30, I don't know. But let's talk about it. Let's identify, let's be critical, let's be creative. So here, the first scenario, you already know. Second scenario, that email must be valid Gmail account. So what is he saying? He wants you to only be able to log in to this application using Gmail account. So how many different scenarios can you come up with just this email functionality? Can anyone try?
What if I don't have a Gmail? I want to sign up with any other email.
Right, but he's saying you're only allowed to do Gmail account. So what would you do in that scenario?
To check if it is work with any other email or just the Gmail actually work?
No, you're not giving out requirement. Requirement is given and is finalized. When you're saying, I want to try with something new, that's a new requirement. We are not accepting requirement. Requirement is full and finalized. This functionality only works with Gmail account. That's it, period. Now, what would you do in that scenario?
If you don't have a valid Gmail account, then you have to create one.
Right. So give me some scenarios, guys. Be creative. Like, what would you do? You heard of this term negative and positive. What is negative test cases? What is positive test cases? What is
So,
negative? Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I think we could try one with the Gmail. That would be the positive. Then we could try another one without the Gmail. We could use something like Yahoo. Then we could see what the outcome, the expectation, or the result that we were talking about earlier. So the Gmail will be the positive. If you use the Yahoo email address, that will be the negative, I think. And we could try also using the empty box email, and we could click it and see what happened.
This is Fahad Bhai, right?
Here, yes.
Very good thinking. So you are a QA. Your job is to break this application. You are going to try everything to break this application. That's your job. Why are you doing that? Because when this application goes to production, millions of people going to use it with different ways, different scenarios, and they would be, if they break it before you, then you don't have a job, right? So your job is to break this. He's saying here, he's very particular here, he's saying this functionality must work with Gmail account only. Now you would be performing this one with your Gmail account, which is perfectly fine. Now you're going to be right after that positive test case is working. Now you're going to think about how can I break it? How can I use negative scenarios? Now you're going to be doing Yahoo. You're going to be doing AOL if it still exists and works. You're going to be doing Outlook. You're going to be doing what else is out there? Whatever is there, right? You're going to be doing that. You're going to be doing empty fields, and you're going to try to log in. You're going to be doing some names without @gmail.com. This is your scenario. This is your negative test case. You're going to be doing this number and without @, and you're just going to be saying gmail.com. Does it work? Does it give you these scenarios, right? You're going to be doing, let's say, just numbers at gmail.com. Is this valid? No, it's not valid. Oh, is it valid? It could be valid. Okay, so you're going to be performing n number of scenarios. You probably, since he did not put any limitation to this box, you need to be asking him, hey, what is the maximum characters this field should hold, right? Functionally, there has to be a limit there, right? So I don't know what is the limit here. 256 is the default character limit for input box. So if this is the case, usually this should not be more than 20 digit. So let's just say for this, Raju bhai, can you make update here, put the limitation on the box, and I'm going to give you a few other scenarios so you can put it there. So these scenarios, if he says, okay, this input box should only hold 20 digit character, then you'd be performing one test scenario with less than 20. So let's say he's going to have to between characters. He's going to have to say like, 6 to 20 or something like that. So if he says that you're going to be entering less than 6 digit, then you're going to be doing more than 20 digit, and within the limitation, at least two scenarios. So these are the scenarios you're going to be performing. So if we look at just this email functionality, you can come up with 10-15 test cases. Now let's move on to password field. And when you go to password field, guys, this is very, very important. Like when you test login functionality, like all the pressure is on you. If someone can break this, they can do anything in the application, right? So you have to understand the criticality of this. Now, password field, what is he talking about? Password field shall exist. That's your one scenario. Following requirements for password field must be 6 to 8 digit characters. That's how many scenarios can you come up with this? At least 3, 4, right? Now must contain at least one letter. So that's one letter, one number, and one special character. So you can do at least 5, 6 negative and positive test cases here. Must not contain space. Same thing is applicable for email functionality. You have a few test cases here. Passwords are case sensitive versus email shall not be case sensitive. So are you guys getting more scenarios as I'm speaking? Do not make password same as the username. So more scenarios. Field shall only have encrypted value. This is important, right? Password field should be encrypted value here. You see is encrypted, right? So now if any of the above criteria does not match, the application must display an error message, shall not be able to log in. So these are the scenarios you have to perform tests. You have to perform tests with different combination of negative and positive scenarios. Also, Raju, please add like password field shall not be copy and paste. With Control C or right click, highlight, right click and copy shall not, you see it's grayed out. These are the scenarios you'd have to consider. Now, guys, if you have to write test scenarios for this, I just talked about it. Top of your head, how many different scenarios do you think you can come up with? This one we came up with 7, but how many different scenarios can you come up with this field? Username
More
and
than
password.
50.
At least 50 or close to 50. You have to think about different things, different angle, different scenarios, different combinations. You know, if you cannot do that, then you're not a tester.
Kadir,
That's
I
it.
have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
On the test description for the password, what are you gonna put? I mean, verify password requirement.
No, each scenarios. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question? You're talking about which field? Test description,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So each scenario, each step you are verifying, you're going to be writing. So here, so if you look at password, first verification step is to verify password field shall exist, right? That's your one verification step. That's where you're
Yes.
going to be writing verify password field shall exist in that application, right? Second thing, you'd be writing this one, you know, password field shall be 6 to 8 digit characters. Now within that, you can separate it, but within that scenario, you can write multiple test cases, right? You're going to be writing test cases. Your scenario could be one, right? You know, you could write password field shall be 6 to 8 digit characters, but what are you verifying? What are you verifying? So you have to break it down. Password field shall not. So if you're doing positive test cases, right, you would be saying password field shall be verify password field shall be 6-digit character, and you'd be entering 6-digit and verifying it. Next scenario would be 8-digit. Next scenario would be maybe 7-digit in between the character. Then you go into the negative side. You'll be performing. You're going to start with blank. Password field shall not be blank. The next one is password field shall not be 5-digit characters. Then it shall not be 9-digit character. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And number of test cases, guys. If you can master this, you are a good tester. So that's your homework for everybody, guys. Corrections.
Kadir, can you refresh that page, see if it comes up?